And I see we have Concord, Lexington, Lincoln, Arlington, and the park isn't able to come. And we have representative from Freedom's Way and from Lincoln, Sarah and Jane, and from Mass Highway, Mass DOT. Chris, welcome to everybody else that's here. Our agenda, I think Heather just covered the first one. We'll defer those meeting minutes until the next meeting. And we can dive right into the main event. I have a suggestion that I hope will help us to stay within a 1 hour time frame, because Heather has that limitation today.
Nancy, this is Paul Fenley. I also have a limitation. I will have to leave about 10 minutes early.
Okay, so that's good. If we get right down to business, I think I have an idea that will recognize this time constraint, but will still get us together on this letter of intent, which is due Monday. I went through Bob's numbered suggested changes, and does everybody have those in front of them? And if so, I think our agreements are, there are several areas of agreement, several areas where I know we will need discussion, and those are 3, 4, 9, 10, and 14. And areas where I think we need some minor adjustment might be 1, 2, and 6. The other ones I think are okay.
Nancy, could you please repeat the numbers of agreement?
I said the numbers of what I didn't number the areas of agreement, but I can do that by, I think 5, 7, 8, 11, 12, and 13. 13 might be a minor discussion, but I think.
Okay, let me just say that my comments related to an earlier draft that changed at least once after my comments were submitted. So I feel like we ought to get the document that we're reviewing up on the screen. If somebody can do that, we can just go through it paragraph by paragraph.
I don't want to do paragraph by paragraph because I think we have a time constraint, and I'd like to really focus on where we need more discussion. Can you look and see if those are the areas that you responded to? I thought it lined up pretty well with, I went back and tried to check what you wrote against what Heather sent out to everybody.
Okay, so what Heather sent out had a lot of verbiage crossed out, which I guess was from Paula's input. Yeah, I thought the cross out, I agreed with it. So
are your comments, have you and Beth discussed how your comments have changed since you've seen Paula's comments?
No, we have not discussed that.
Okay.
It just, I thought we were going to get the last bite at the apple, and then that turned out to not be the case. And I just gave up trying to weigh in on the various drafts that were coming down. So,
well, there were drafts circulating among the 4 of us.
Point of order.
So, yes.
Point of order. My understanding was the last, and I perhaps missed a meeting, Nancy and Bob were charged with working on these drafts.
Well, four people were.
4 people. Okay. And so what I took off fairly recently from Heather was a draft that Nancy proposed, and then Bob indexed it. It's a bit, I don't quite understand, Bob, why you just didn't systematically go through it, but you have them numbered and you have numbers written in Nancy's draft. And so why isn't that not sufficient to move? You've got to submit something by Monday.
Well, what's the point of order? I think we know
Point
that.
of order is,
So,
who is, you know, whose drafts, your draft, the four of you people and Bob, with you and Bob seeming to be the principals here, have produced.
we're
something.
using the drafts that Heather sent out. And Bob, I don't know where you're seeing something different.
No,
Yeah,
I have every draft in front of me. I just want to know which one to pick up.
The one that Heather sent to the whole
Yeah.
committee.
Okay, I've got it. Yeah.
Okay, that should align perfectly with your numbered sections.
Yeah, it doesn't incorporate all the suggestions that I had, but at least we can go through it, I think, pretty quickly. I mean,
So I think
Yeah.
we should, let's start on let's do 3, 4, 9, 10, and 14 first, and that's where I think we have some language that we need to resolve. And I think we should all be working from the draft that Heather sent to the whole entire committee.
So can I just ask a question? And this might be Bob's question too. I have 5 emails between yesterday and this morning, and it's hard for me to tell who they went to. So I may be in the same boat as Bob, as I would much rather have it on screen so that we're all looking at it. You know, we don't have to necessarily discuss every single one, especially if we are in agreement, but I've been kind of by this process, and I know I'm still new to the committee, but I'm kind of concerned that we did do a draft, we wrote it a draft, and like we're still here having a conversation, and it's the letter of intent. Like, it makes me really concerned for when we go to apply for the grant itself. The sort of the lack of transparency and organization among this group itself. So
that's a whole nother issue.
So
I think what you're asking for is to have a screen shared that shows the document that Heather sent to everybody, which is what I think
Which one, Nancy, do you want me to put up? The original,
not
the
the
original
one,
draft?
the one that you sent to the whole committee.
I
that
sent
was-
everyone everything.
right, but we need it up on the screen so
Okay,
we
just
can
a
agree
minute.
on what.
I
we're
know, I
talking-
need to know what version am I putting on
The
the
one you
screen?
just sent out this morning.
Just a second, just a
Yeah.
second.
No. You want to go?
It's you sent it at 4:19 at 9:32 to the whole committee.
Is it the original version?
I don't know what, see if you, it's the 4/19/22 at 9:32, 9 o'clock.
Okay, I don't think everybody has that one. And
I think
but
everybody should
it's-
have
But
that
what's sent out today is close enough. We can deal with that, okay?
Well,
Let's-
which one?
That's Bob's proposed edits that Heather sent out that
Can
index.
everyone see
With
my
the
screen?
numbers. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine if this matches up with Bob's comments. That's what I was wanting to make sure of.
If we had the one that had the index to the numbers.
Yeah,
But-
that's what
Okay.
I'm working with. That's exactly what I've got in front of me and what I was
Okay.
responding to. So I think we're good. I think we're good. So the areas where I think we have a need.
I think I just lost the screen sharing.
Up there it is.
Magic.
No,
Is this what you want up?
I want something that looked like the one we just had, but had handwritten numbers on the side.
Yeah. And that would have come from Bob on, just a minute, I'll tell you,
2 days ago.
April 20th at 5 o'clock, I think.
And
Okay.
it was forwarded by Heather.
Yeah.
There.
Yep.
And Bob sent it to Beth on the 19th and sent it to me and Heather on the 20th. And then she subsequently sent that out.
Is this the draft everyone wants on the screen?
Yes. 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 So if you go to 3,
Well, Nancy, I'm sorry, but I think I would want us to consider number 2, which talks about roadway design guidelines and says that's a central recommendation
Number
of the
2.
corridor management plan.
okay,
And really,
hang on.
yeah.
hang on.
I'm just looking at the document on the screen right now.
Yeah, okay, so, and then your comment, I have to go back to your comment.
Yeah, I went back to the corridor management plan and called out a number of the bullets from that plan
Yeah.
and said, let's mention them all very succinctly. In my language, if I can read it out or if everybody has it in front of them.
I think we should all have it.
Okay,
And there's not a big problem with that. So that's not one of the areas of that we need major discussion on. Because I think what you're suggesting is just alternate language that recognizes, one of the one that's in the draft that I had is more specific. And you've broadened it to include other aspects of the corridor management plan, I think.
yeah, which cover the specific things that we're proposing to do. So,
The
yes,
only thing this is missing though here, and this is the other minor aspect you've left out, stewardship. And resource
Well,
protection is the word. So
it says maintains byway resources.
that's a little less powerful and less specifically related to the application criteria and types and approval.
Okay, yeah, I don't care if the wording on that changes.
Okay, so that's why we'd add that. That's the
Would
only-
Paula's edits also sent around today be, would those work for language?
I think what we're gonna do is what we have to do, I think, in the interest of time, is to stick with what the two groups of 2 developed, and then see if there's any remaining things, because some of Paula's didn't agree with some of what Bob was saying. So
Right, there were,
for clarity, and I think we should stick with what the original charge was and see if we can get agreement on this. And
okay,
then-
there were also a few substantial comments from Simone on that draft.
And those, I
Um,
think, will easily fall under our discussion of number 4 particularly. And her second comment was just to state that there were some overlapping resources that were available to deal with things along the byway that were not owned by the park.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
So I
those,
think it's,
got into it
we'll
somehow.
get into that on question 4.
Okay,
Or
thank
item
you.
number 4 on Bob's list. So if we can just go with those, we can start again, 3, 4, 9, 10, and 14.
Okay,
And I think the disagreement or the discussion there might be, Bob is recommending that this entire piece be deleted. And this was under section 7. And under safety and access, he's recommending that the evaluation of the existing speed limits along the byway, this whole one be deleted to identify target speeds, develop context sensitive treatments, etc.
yeah, Beth and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago and thought that it really didn't belong in this. Actually, I'm curious what Chris Clem would think of this. I found it to be vague and duplicative of what the highway department is already doing.
And can I speak? I'm the one who was charged with coming up with an initial draft. And a lot of the things I said in the initial draft had just sort of disappeared. Let me talk specifically about number 3. What I was charged
You have
with,
1 minute, Richard.
yeah, what I was charged with was trying to distill what was what the conversation and to put it in writing. And this is something that we talked about. In addition, MassDOT has this as a priority we're not just, we have 5 towns and a park. We don't have just a little tiny stretch that we're worried about. And there are a lot of things with the rest of the byway, other than what goes through the park and what's in Route 2A, that we need to deal with. And, I think we need to deal with it, period. And this is something that MassDOT has actually asked people to get grants to do. We missed the deadline for that because it was March 31st. I don't know if Chris has any information in terms of, if anyone has, any towns have applied for something like this.
Yeah, I don't have that information, Richard. And I wasn't there for any of the conversations where MassDOT asked others to apply for grants to develop these context-sensitive treatments for traffic calming. But I'm more in line with what Bob is saying. I think that is, MassDOT is attempting to perform this work already. If the Byway Group thinks that this belongs in the application, I'm not going to stop you all. This is, your responsibility. This is going to be your product in the end. It's just my job to guide you, provide feedback, and share resources.
And
So-
why would it not be? Because this is sort of looking at the byway as a whole and trying to develop what would hopefully become prototypical context-sensitive treatments along the byway. I would think it would help inform also at the overarching interest in reducing speed. And broadly speaking, how would you do that? And it's more than just putting raised structures in the middle of the road. So
Right, but my concern is that at the existing speed limit, the structure proposed in the the project that we've discussed for the last several months, those are the only appropriate treatments at this speed. They can't do anything that is for a road with a lesser speed limit.
well, sometimes, yeah, but some of those roads have different speed limits.
So part of the reason for this grant is to sort of say, beyond this project has its own life. What we need to do is to figure beyond this project, what is it that we want our byway to be? And to me, this is a critical issue, probably the most important one going forward in terms of implementing our corridor plan.
Okay, my question to Chris would be, do you think this paragraph makes our letter of intent weaker or stronger or neutral? If it's neutral, then I would say, sure, okay, leave it in, but don't put it as the first bullet. Put it further down, because it just to me, it just dilutes what we're trying to really do here.
Well, we're trying to go
We're
ahead.
trying to find a design that is effective for all 5 communities, and the inclusion of this speed analysis is critical for Lexington's acceptance of the draft. I mean, we would believe that this is an essential element of the proposal.
Yeah, and Concord, I think, would feel that way.
All right, well, we
I
have
mean,
to
if that's-
come to an agreement today, and we need 4 votes. We need essentially unanimous agreement. So I'm not going to stand in the way of this going forward over this paragraph. I mean, I would like to see it given less prominence.
I think it'd be an easy thing to switch the order of those. And I think we should remember that I don't think this is the major part of what we'd be asking for.
And
So-
the other part is, this is a letter of intent.
Yeah,
We have
exactly.
we have some time to flesh out how important any of these elements are, but I think we ought to talk about the elements we're thinking about. This gives us the next couple of months to flesh in and say, how important is this compared to this other thing, so that when we have a application, we have considered what we need to consider.
Okay, so I think that's
All right.
I think that's a split, but I think those could be flipped. Number 4 on Bob's list would be the next one. He is proposing to say, Let's go, wait a minute.
Yeah, I tried to make,
this-
excuse me, I tried to make the individual project items be more definite in terms of exactly what the work is going to be. So design and construct, to me, sounds more definitive than just develop. Develop is a little vague. So that was basically
Okay,
how I wanted to see the wording change.
so if we say design and construct pedestrian paths along the byway.
Yeah, yeah.
to
Okay,
safely-
I would-
Much more active.
I would object to that because again, this is a 5-town. In Lexington, we have the Minuteman Bikeway. Arlington has the Minuteman Bikeway, and we want to have connections between those. And so, you know, the words Minuteman National Historic Park doesn't belong in here. It should be byway.
Oh,
And
to link the
we're talking
byway.
about not
Oh,
just
yes.
pedestrian paths, we're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
good.
all kinds of connections.
I think that's right, because I've been thinking about Concord. I know that our tendency has been to think about this grant in terms of the Route 2A project. And that Route 2A project is not settled yet, so we don't know what that's going to be or what it's going to include. And we know that there's the park is not supportive of the connections there. So if, even though I was trying to avoid that, and I should have taken out to link, I should have said to link the byway. That's a much better thing, I think. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, and you're going to
Yeah.
drop.
And
the-
again, in the next month or two, we can identify what are these connections we're talking about so that, you know, folks in Lexington, in Arlington who want to have a better connectivity between the Battle Road and the bike path can do that.
Or other resources, we shouldn't be locked into thinking that the connection, I mean, I guess the connections could go to adjacent roads and paths, but we may be forgetting in both of these options that we might just be wanting to connect resources with each other that don't have a path, but maybe in Arlington, it's 2 resources across the street from each other. I don't know what they are right now. So, okay, if we can deal
Yeah.
with that. Any more comments on that? That it would then be to design and wait, what's Bob's? Where's Bob's? Design and construct
Yes,
as opposed to identify. I think that's okay.
How about identify,
the desk-
develop, construct, just. and
I'm
construct.
sorry. All right, you're laughing, so I think that was a joke, but I didn't
No,
hear
it's
it.
not a joke.
What was it? I didn't hear it.
Identify, develop, construct. I mean, all of those things we want to do. How do we know?
How
what
about
the-
identify, design, and construct?
Yeah,
Because we
yes.
want to do something. I think Bob's point is that
Yep.
it should be more active.
Yep.
And
Nancy,
Okay.
this is Paul. I just want to remind you, it's almost 10:30. I'll
Thank
be
you.
leaving in about 15 minutes.
yeah, thank you. Okay, so we've got a couple. Okay, so that's what that identify, design, and construct pedestrian paths along that link the byway to adjacent roads and paths, but we can tinker with that. Number 9. Number 9 and Bob's, the way this is scaled back.
I
really.
I don't like the word scaled back. I mean, we can phase it. If we want to do all of these, whether it's through this grant or through some other way, I don't think we want to scale back things. We want to maybe phase them and only ask for certain things. If we,
The only reason that I use this is because it's the language in the grant application.
okay,
And so
Right.
I take your point about phases, but it sure
Okay.
doesn't. Okay, all right, so that's okay. I objected to the elimination or to the language that said by reducing historic protection measures and functionality of the smart zone, particularly the elimination of reducing historic protection measures. That should be a very large part of this.
Why do you need, why do you need to identify anything?
Well,
It's like-
how are
it's
you?
like
Because-
hanging it out there as a target for removal. You don't have
Well,
to
I think,
identify
I
anything.
think what, I think Mass Highway for a project request of $600,000 wants to have an idea of how it would be scaled back or phased.
Why do their thinking for them?
I mean,
Because
why give
they're
them any
asking.
suggestions?
They're asking.
It's for the grant itself. This isn't for MassDOT Highway. MassDOT Highway is not asking you to scale or phase this project. The grant
Okay,
is
so
saying
we
that
could, so we could eliminate that.
if you like, in the letter of intent, it's not necessary for you to share estimated project costs at all. But in the grant application, you will receive, a point per se.
Right.
If you identify options that they can't provide the full funding, if you say with 400,000 or 200,000, we can still achieve this.
Okay. Okay. And another, if we wanted to keep something there, I think Richard had some alternate language that, we would just be prioritizing. We would be prioritizing some of the things we were proposing to do. And we wouldn't pursue the things that we decided had lesser.
I think if Chris is saying that estimated project cost does not need to be in the letter of intent at all, then we don't put it in at all. And that gives us more time to actually figure out a more accurate estimated project cost.
I think there's some merit in that, but I think it would be a good idea to give an idea that we are going to submit a project that could easily be $500,000 or more. I think when you consider the signage, the markers, the resource protection activities, the assessment of speed, so on and so forth, it'd be easy to get to 500,000. So I just think it'd be a good idea for them to know where we could do 500 to, I don't know, Bob's first and best first draft said 900,000. So
To Chris's point, do you need to include that at all?
I wouldn't mind if it wasn't in there. I mean, I'm okay with it not being in there. What do other people feel? Bob?
It
I'm
has to be
okay
there.
with,
Why put it there?
Yeah, okay. Is there consensus on that?
Yeah,
Sure.
I would vote to just eliminate that.
I'm moving it out too.
Okay, so for number 9, wait a minute, I just want to make sure I'm following everything correctly here. We just take that out, right? And
You can say
then,
the project could be scaled back, period.
let's
We'll
take
get-
it.
I just think we leave out the project cost. We don't have any idea of what this project's gonna cost. This is
Yeah.
all just a guess, and if it's not necessary, then don't put it in.
Okay.
Or you could use their guidelines and say 500,000 to 2 million.
I'm not sure how many of us have actually read the notice of funding opportunity and reviewed the resources on the website that I've shared with some of the official committee members on this call.
Yeah.
But the letter of intent is just an opportunity for FHWA to see who and how many people are interested in applying for the grants, and allows them to start accumulating or grouping subject matter experts to review these grants and award funding.
Right. And I'm also okay with saying a project of $500,000 or more is easy. Heather's shaking her head no.
This is surreal. If it's not helping
forget
us,
about
leave it
it.
out. It's,
Okay.
why do we go round and round on this?
Okay, there's agreement then. Let's do it. Okay, that's out. And number 10, the template, this is important I think, and it's if we are really limited to choosing just one type. Earlier editions have shown where's 10? Where's 10? Different project goals. So I don't know, what do other people think? Safety versus equity and accessibility.
I go with two. I don't really know what equity and accessibility exactly mean, but I think accessibility subsumes the word safety. So I would go with number 2.
So I've
Safety.
read these and I can't parrot them back to you, but Chris will be helpful here. I think we have to recognize that the byway runs through some fairly affluent communities. And the language in the goals, I think I have it somewhere here, but I'm not going to rifle through it because I think Chris knows more, is more about expanding the populations who have access to the benefits of the byway and spreading the benefits out more equitably in terms of communities. So I think safety is a huge thing. It's what's driven a lot of Lincoln's concern. It's been a top priority of the committee for a long time. So I think we go for safety.
Why do we have to choose one or the other? Why can't we leave them both there?
The template doesn't allow it. It's ridiculous. Whoever put this form together that we have to use only allows entering one.
They're making
In the
us
final application, you can choose multiple.
in
The letter of
final-
intent, as Bob said, is just poorly made.
Okay,
I would vote to leave safety and then we just do a more thorough explanation of what we're hoping for in the application itself.
Beth, was that you?
Yeah, that was me, sorry. I have minimal camera. Here I
Oh,
am.
there you are.
Yep, sorry.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
so
I just
that's-
think, I mean, it's a letter of intent. Safety's first. We can include safety and equitability, safety and accessibility could be one goal. Why don't we just say safety and
Yes,
accessibility?
right.
Safety
and equity, accessibility. Take
Will it
take
let
out
you do
number 1
that?
and number 2.
Chris,
They-
will-
If you can get it into the template, fine. I was not able to. It only allowed me to enter a number.
Okay, so what, it's limited, the number of words are limited, is there type keystroke?
250 words overall, but I think what Bob has done, he's tried to punch it into the exact line.
It's
So
a multiple choice thing and you can select one and I think it was a drop down menu. It's ridiculous, but that's the way it is.
So do safety, and if you have the opportunity to do safety and accessibility, or do it, and if not, we just leave it as safety.
I agree with that approach.
I agree with that too. That sounds like a consensus point. To come back to, okay. And there's 4 areas that I thought we might want to discuss a little bit more.
I'll just note it's almost 11:40 and I'm gone in 10 minutes if you want to vote.
Okay. So
And I gather you can't make this happen with only 3 votes.
I'm okay. Yeah,
That's
3 votes. Yeah, 3 votes. The ones that I think Bob wanted to add back, the 1.5 million people. Those are a lot of words there.
Nancy, where are you here?
I'm going back to number 1 because we've done 3, 4, 9, 10, and 14.
Okay, I don't care about number 1. It's not that
Okay,
important.
so
Yeah.
just let it go either way.
Yeah,
Number
yeah.
2, we took out, Bob, you took out stewardship, and I would like to leave stewardship back in because it's in the body of the letter of intent. It refers to resource protection. Maybe resource protection is the better word. But that's all.
Yeah, if stewardship works for you, it's fine.
And then, okay, and then design manufacture, I think we got close to what you wanted in number 6.
Nancy, we haven't quite finished going through the paragraphs 11 and 12, the project type and the additional project types, okay?
You're 11.
It's
You said it was okay. I thought it was okay. We don't have a problem.
right. And then 12, I thought we should mention all of the project types. 4, 5, 6, and 7.
That's the one. Okay, okay.
Okay, you just had 4 and 6. So I think we should
And
mention them all.
4, 5, 6, and 7, and I had 4 and
I thought they were all appropriate.
4 and
5 and
6.
7.
And what's 5?
I think 5 was recreation.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. That's fine.
And what's
Uh,
7?
7 is development of tourist information to the public, including interpretive information about a scenic byway.
And you're thinking of the smartphone?
The smartphone and the signage.
Yeah, I feel really strongly about having that one in there.
Yeah.
You say again, you feel what?
I feel really strongly about having that one in there.
Okay, so we'll keep 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's a good thing anyway, because Patrice Tedesco is here today, and she had mentioned before that they are deeply engaged in developing some kind of an app, and so I think having that information, and also, by the way, including Freedom's Way as a potential partner. But Patrice, is that correct? That
Actually, we have launched an app. So you probably all have seen or received information. So we do have an app. We also have a newly designed interactive website that does include the byway as a filtering tool. So someone can go onto our byway and, access attractions to the byway. So I just throw that out there. If there's a prioritization of funding that, there may be some synergy between our work and yours.
that's great. Thank
Can
you.
can I address number 13? This was a specific recommendation from Chris Clem at the last meeting. I mean, one of the criteria that the evaluators are going to be looking for is who are you partnering with? So that's number one. We talked about MAPC, we talked about the MPO because Chris had mentioned them. We talked about Freedom's Way. One of the things is that assuming we get the grant, we need somebody to administer it. And I don't think any of the towns or the park has the manpower to be able to do that. MAPC does that for a living. Whether they do one spec of analysis or help, they're good administrators and can watch the money and can make sure everything gets administered. I think that's the value of putting in partners.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank
So
you for.
I'm okay to
answering.
leave all those in. Are there
Yeah.
any other?
Then you need to add Freedom's Way. You did
No,
not.
no.
At Freedom's Way.
We've got that. We've got that. I've got that anyway. I've got it. Today's notes are in purple on my cheat sheets here. So I'm recording this. Okay. And does anyone have any other amendments or changes? And if not,
Nancy, I have a comment. I believe Patrice just said that they already have an app and a website that includes information related to the byway. I'm familiar with that app, and is that sufficient to, you still want a smartphone guide for visitors in the visitor experience bullet too?
I think we have to look at that app first.
We'll know by July.
Okay, well, my concern is, I guess, that, thinking largely about the application, this is 3 small projects that the group is attempting to group into one larger project. And I think, based on the webinar that FHWA hosted about a month ago, they noted that we should avoid unnecessarily grouping projects, whether to meet the $500,000 threshold or just to try and fund everything that we possibly can. I think that the simpler and more focused that the application is, the more likely that the group will be able to secure funding.
Right, so the question is this a standalone project or is this part of the other piece that we're talking about in terms of interpretive elements, directional signage, distinctive markers? So the question is this a standalone thing or is this part of that piece?
Oh, that's interesting.
I
It's
don't think
part-
it's standalone. I think it's
Part of
it's
it.
integral to it.
Well,
So,
then how is that related
mush-
to
mu-
the
Mush
study
them together.
to evaluate the speeds along the byway? Like, I don't see all these projects as being together as maybe some of you do. Again, these are just my comments, and this whole product is a product of the Byway group. But I, do want to share my thoughts, because if they can
Right,
help,
you have
that's
to,
great.
you have to submit it, you have to submit something to Federal Highway. Not
Right,
us.
I submit the application and I submit the letter of intent, but it's the responsibility of the Byway group to develop everything.
Right.
I am just here
So-
to share guidance, resources, and feedback.
so Chris, is your thinking to put the smartphone app with, in some other
With-
place in the application? Or are you telling us to split the application apart into 3 separate ones?
I mean, at
I
this
hope
point,
you're
the letter of
I hope you're
the
not.
letter of intent isn't, does not need to be refined to the extent the application will be in the future.
Yeah.
You could submit something very choppy and vague in the letter of intent. The point is just for FHWA to know that you're going to apply, and that these are the project types that you're interested in. That is really it.
We could combine those 2 visitor experiences. I was trying to I think Lincoln brought up visitor experience, so that's why I put this in here. But we could have just one smartphone with this. We could have just one statement here, and
Well-
smartphone could go up in with
Just-
the.
Just,
Look, we don't have time to do
Yeah.
any of this. We've got to finish this in this meeting,
I
right?
think we're.
I think
pretty
we
well
have it.
finished. I think
The only
we're-
question I have at this point is, in terms of the deadline, when do you need it to be able to forward it to Federal Highway, Chris?
Anytime on Monday. I need to send it by 4 p.m. So hopefully by 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready for a vote then? As amended?
Are people okay with the title of the project? I thought it was a little wordy and I tried to tighten it up a little, but
What number was that, Bob, again?
it's number 14. It was the last thing to talk about. It's right at the beginning of.
Well, again, my only concern there was that it didn't say anything about stewardship or resource protection. So I would just add that back. I don't know that I
Okay, well, you
did.
can stick with it. I didn't understand the word identity. What is that?
Yeah, I don't
Identity?
get that either. I don't know where that, I think that may have come from a Lincoln draft. I thought
I
you
don't
had
think
that.
so. I don't think so.
Okay,
So-
okay.
So take identity out.
Yeah,
We're
take it
done.
out.
Safety, access, and
Yeah.
resource protection, I guess.
Okay.
Resource protection. Okay,
And it's not 14 miles, it's more than that. So maybe just drop the 14-mile thing out of it.
oh, okay.
I'm leaving in 3 minutes.
Okay,
All right, I move that we adopt the letter of intent as edited today, and that we authorize the chair to clean up the words and to forward it to Chris Clem for submittal to Federal Highway.
Did you make that chair and vice chair?
Chair and vice chair.
fine with me. That's fine with me. Can we get a second for that?
I'll
I'll
second it.
Okay, thank you. Arlington?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Lexington,
I think so, yes.
Yes.
Lincoln,
Yes,
Concord, yes.
Yes.
Paul has made the most important contribution here
Right.
by telling
Thank
us that
you.
that we had to finish.
Well, also, we're gonna get cut off any minute now. Well, actually, we have a few minutes.
Yeah, I have to leave it. I'm leaving
I'm
at 10.
going to say goodbye. Good luck to us all with this.
Thank you. And I really want to catch up with what happened with the session on Foot of the Rocks, but I have, so we can do that later. I'll call you.
Yes, bye all.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Paul. Okay. Thanks, everyone. That's progress. We have, I want to just say just a very quick thing on the next item on the agenda, schedule and discuss the governance review. What I've been trying to do is pull together information about where the past minutes and agendas and minutes for these meetings, which towns have them, are there gaps? Does it, how can they be accessed? I'm looking at legislation that created the byway, modified the byway, and putting other foundational documents together in one location. That's my goal, to have the Battle Road Scenic Byway have a page similar to probably what most of the town committees have. It seems to me to be scattered all over the place and with some important information missing, like annual reports. So just trying to pull all that together, I think is really important. And then if people can read again and again the memorandum of understanding and talk to other folks about what makes committees effective and troubled. For instance, I'm often confused about the 5 voting members versus the maximum 13 members. Where does the vote reside? Who appoints the members? What are the responsibilities? I know planning staff has always been involved. Planning folks have some, and town staffs have some exemptions from the open meeting laws, but when they're full members of a committee, those protections go away and they count in terms of things like serial communication and open meeting law violations. So just to be thinking about that. And then there was something that went around to several of us. I got it in one way. I know Beth got it in another, but about byway leader training. And I think Heather sent that around to all members of the committee. So this is going to be a rare event, May 18th and 19th. And it's Sharon Strauss from the National Scenic Byway Foundation sent it around. The application for attending is May 1st. And it's $95 a person, 15 hours of instruction, all training materials, 2 lunches and a dinner. And the rooms are available at the Woodstock Inn for $75 a night. So I'm assuming, unless towns finance this, that attendance would be on everybody's own dime, but we should be alerted to that possibility. And any other business?
I just
Member
want to
updates?
identify when our next meeting is.
I was looking at April 28th. At 10 o'clock.
Next week, you mean?
No,
Hey,
May. I meant oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong calendar. Thank you. 26. April
May
26th.
26th. Okay.
Does anybody have any updates? Did anybody go to Arlington's Foot of the Rocks seminar?
I did. Jane did.
Jane did.
And
Good.
I found it fascinating. Everybody had terrific comments.
Oh, good. Well,
And they did talk about the massive asphalt in front of it, and could something be done to maybe make that area better all around. I learned a lot and about not only the history, but the issues. The one thing that caught my attention was there was a couple of people mentioned there wasn't consistent signage from Arlington to Concord.
Yeah, well,
About
that's why we
where
have
are
this
we, you
grant.
know? It
And they
really
could
was,
probably take up the asphalt too. So
Yeah,
anybody
so,
else?
you
Oh,
know,
sorry,
the
Jane.
asphalt
Um,
and the signage were two, the signage was sort of an afterthought, but after so many years, people
Yeah.
said, well, where's the signage? And so,
Yeah.
well, I say, it's
Thank
coming,
you.
it's coming.
Okay, thank you.
But I
Anybody
didn't
else?
say anything, but it was a really good meeting. I look forward to another
Thank
one. to see
you.
How they come to conclusions.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, so Arlington, is Arlington, there she is. Hi, Marisa, I don't know you, but I assume you're voting yes. And so Lexington,
Yes.
Lincoln,
Yes.
Concord. I think that's it. Yes, I think that's it. Thank you, everybody.
thank
Okay.
you.